So a very warm welcome back to the channel, and in this episode we take it to Black Rocks Parkrun in Derbyshire. This is a very new event. It only started the previous week, so this is run number 2. It runs along an old railway line. There's a trackbed there, of which more later. And look, they've got their own water station on course. Only joking, but yeah, some industrial remains there. So it was nice to meet up with a few friends from the local running area who we haven't seen for a while, and quite a big turnout for Black Rocks Parkrun on this occasion. So there's a car park right by the start finish line. We paid £3.50 to be in. It was good to meet up with friends from the local running scene who we haven't seen for a while and who have the best interests of parkrun at heart. So after a briefing under the shadow of the said Black Rocks, it was time to get started. So Black Rocks Parkrun had a relatively quiet start the previous week with 113 finishers. That escalated today to 285 finishers, so more than doubled. I think a lot of people will want to come and enjoy this parkrun in the splendid surroundings of the Black Rocks and the High Peak Trail. So first, the most obvious question is, why is it called Black Rocks Parkrun when it's run along an old railway line? Why not the High Peak Parkrun? Well, it starts and finishes by some splendid rocks, which are black. They're actually very famous in the rock climbing world. They've been climbed since the 1890s. There's many famous ascents being made on them. So Black Rocks Parkrun starts and finishes near the Black Rocks, which I'm not a man for rocks or geology, but they were hugely impressive to look at. So as you can see, although there's some wet patches on the surface, there is nothing to get people out of road shoes on this parkrun. Now, one of the wonders of this parkrun are the views across the Matlock Dale. We'll get a little glimpse there, and a little bit further along the trail. If you look to your left, as I am with my head cam on, can't get my eyes off it, is absolutely spectacular. There we go. There is another view. Now, down in that valley is a little town called Cromford, which we visited afterwards. I would highly recommend anybody in the area goes to Cromford. But why should we go to Cromford, John, I hear you ask? Yes, it looks like a perfectly pleasant town, but what do we have here? Well, we only have the world's first major water-powered factory. Up to this point in time, in the mid-1700s, people tended to do their work from home, like many people do today. But Richard Arkwright built this factory here, brought the workers in from all around the UK with specialist textile workers, built this massive factory, built the town to house them, and harnessed the power of water, which you can see there, recreation water wheel. So this is the first factory in the modern world. It's where the Industrial Revolution can claim to have started. There's Richard Arkwright there, or at least a cardboard cutout of him. So anyway, back to the parkrun. We're reaching a turnaround point now, which is just about one of your modern kilometres. I bet Richard Arkwright didn't know about kilometres. But what is this fascinating building here? Well, it's only the sheep pasture incline house. This was used to pull trucks up from a steep incline. If the parkrun had carried on the direction we were running, we'd have had a very steep downhill. We have actually done a race here. It was a White Peak Marathon and also the White Peak Half Marathon, which carries all the way down into Cromford. But in the parkrun, we're now heading back in a northeasterly direction. You can see, despite the 285 runners, there's enough room to pass on both sides, running about 2 or 3 abreast on our side, and the same with the people coming down towards that wonderful incline engine house. So some of the practicalities of Black Rocks Parkrun. There is parking right by the start finish line. We parked about 50 yards from the start and finish line and paid £3.50 because we like to help sustain this path and the car park and the whole area for the future. There was free parking nearby as well, but we didn't know about that. So yeah, had we known about it, we might not have paid £3.50 to sustain the area for the future. On the way back up, we do have something called the National Stone Centre, which I believe is just to the left as we're running up. It contains 6 quarries and it has educational facilities on site for people to learn all about the important history of stone and the role it's played in building this nation. You're getting a better view of the surface now. As I say, quite soft on the day. I reckon it would be a reasonably quick course if we came in summer and the trails were nice and firm. It's also really cold today. There's a little microclimate here, so you may look at the temperature and think, oh, it's going to be 6 or 7 degrees. That's okay for January, but when you actually get here, it might be because of the angle of the sun, the rocks, I don't know what, but we have a very, very cold microclimate. I actually had 2 pairs of gloves on throughout this parkrun, and I'm glad I did. Black Rocks Parkrun is the latest addition to the Derbyshire Parkrun roster. I think we've done all the parkruns in Derbyshire. Interesting little fact about Derbyshire Park. So there's still 2 events, one in Chesterfield, the No Walk in the Park 5k, which we should be doing on Saturday, and another one in nearby Darley-Dale, have a monthly free timed 5k time trial. Get that. In the No Walk in the Park's case, it's also an accredited race. There also used to be one in Buxton Pavilion Gardens, but the organisers vacated it so Parkrun could take over. So yeah, Derbyshire could claim to be one of the ancestors of the Parkrun, of the free 5k, well in this case monthly 9 AM time trial stroke race. Anyway, lovely county Derbyshire. Every time we come, we always find plenty to see, plenty to do, and plenty of lovely landscape. Quite a lot of the county is under the Peak District National Park. In fact, the railway line we are running on, which opened quite early in 1831, before the arrival of steam engines on here, and was eventually closed in the 1960s, was bought by the Peak District National Park. You can just see us going by the start finish area on the left, so we're going to head out northeasterly now for further, I think, 1.5 kilometres. Anyway, yes, it was purchased by the Peak District National Park in 1971, specifically to be made into use for cyclists, walkers, and in this case runners. I think the High Peak Trail, this part of it, is about 17.5 miles long if you fancy a very long warm-up and very long cool-down. So just a quick note, if you wonder why we're not chasing records or talking about fast times today, it's because this is a Saturday and the following day we went to the English Institute of Sport in Sheffield and ran a 3,000 metre indoor race in the British Masters Championships, which was very intense. So there was take it nice and easy today. However, despite that, because it is very early on in this Parkrun's genesis, Dawn, that's her in front of us here, was able to break the female 60 course record. There were several records fell today, obviously. I'm sure somebody will be along to take it and lower it further, but this is a parkrun I am absolutely certain that we will come back to at some point in the future. I mean, just look at those views, look at the history of the old railway line, beautiful part of the country. So if you are umming and ahhing, get Black Rocks Parkrun on your tourism bucket list.
So, going to a new parkrun for us is all about place. It's about discovery. When we go to new parkruns, we normally like to find out more about the place that we're going to see. We like to go and find out about the history, as you'll see from all the commentary that John has provided. Although we have toured quite a lot, it's not to collect letters or anything like that. Although, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. People go to parkruns for all sorts of reasons. However, we do like to collect the occasional fast course.
And talking of fast parkruns, I wonder where this will sit in the parkrun rankings. Now, it's come out just too late to make the cut for Tim Gross's 2025 updated fastest to slowest parkrun list. But my hunch is it's very much like Monsell Trail in nearby Bakewell, in that it's flat, it's on a trail surface, and the only thing that's going to slow you down here is 3 U-turns, which we'll see one coming up in a minute. So Monsell Trail is about 219th on Tim's list. So my hunch, out of the 835 parkruns now in the UK, this would sit somewhere in the low to mid 200s in terms of pace. It's a good time trial course, I think. We will come back and give it a shot maybe later this year or next year. So yeah, if you're looking for a fast-ish one, particularly in the Derbyshire area, then I'd certainly give this one a try. We're just about to head to the second U-turn in this run and turn around and go back towards the start area. Once you get back to the start finish area, there's about 500 yards to go further back down the trail, not all the way to that old engine shed. You then turn around and come back to the finish.
Yeah, so by this point, I think we just about warmed up. I can honestly say this is one of the coldest parkruns I've actually attended. As John said about the double layer gloves, well, my fingers and my toes were absolutely stinging until we got to about this stage in the parkrun. I don't know what it is about the cold here, but hey ho, it was. When we got to the car, actually, it was a bit slippery, and I thought that the course itself might be a bit slippery because of the ice, but actually we didn't feel any of it or see any of it on the course itself, so maybe that's down to the surface.
Yes, new parkruns. There's been a little splurge of them recently. This is one. There's another one up not too far from us. We hope to go to soon. Apparently, there's been a little bit of hoo-ha about that because it begins with the letter V. But I think there are actually two new ones beginning with the letter V. As Dawn said, some people like to go and collect letters of the alphabet. Not for us, really. We like to go to a place, as Dawn said, because we want to be there on a Saturday morning around wonderful people and having stunning views and experiences like we are today. Just heading down now to the third turnaround point, and after we've negotiated this, it's about 500 yards back to the finish. So yes, Parkrun World this week, we did read that the chief executive, I think, or chief operating officer, whatever fancy title he's got, has spoken to somebody involved with the Bring Back the Stats campaign. It looks like Parkrun is looking at allowing more access to the historical stats and data that all the runners and volunteers and everybody had built up over 19 years that were wiped from the database, of looking at maybe third-party access in the future. My suspicion is that Parkrun are considering more changes to the way that the data is presented each week in basically race format, because that's what Parkrun was, a race come time trial. Have been trying to move away from that for several years, but it's still embedded because many people like to turn up and enjoy the Parkrun, see where they finish, see what's in front of them, see what's behind them, see what friends did it, people for their club, etc. But they are claiming GPDR issues around that, and still the potential issue of people being put off doing Parkrun because somebody else did 22 minutes or 32 minutes, seemingly. Not quite sure how it works. Anyway, watch out for further developments in Parkrun World on what access to the statistics there may be and how it might be presented. So as we approach the finish of yet another parkrun, we reflect on what parkrun is about for us. It's going to wonderful places and being around the positive, proactive people who set them up and come and take part in them. And whatever shenanigans HQ gets up to in the future, we hope that that never changes. So I think we can just see the finish area coming up now on the left, underneath the wonderful black rocks, which will also be on the left, along this lovely historic trackbed in Derbyshire. So yeah, just crossing the line now. I think we did about 26.5 minutes today, as I say, racing tomorrow. What a wonderful place to be around wonderful people on a Saturday morning. So thank you to all the volunteers for setting this parkrun up and for turning out in the morning. As I say, freezing cold. I hope the hands weren't too cold, handing out tokens. And well done to everybody who took part in this parkrun. And as I said, if you are thinking of going, there is ample car parking. There's toilets near the start, and there is a cafe that the core team and everybody else go to afterwards, about 500 yards back down the trail. So there we have it, Blackrock's Parkrun. We hope you've enjoyed this video. We hope if you do go and do this parkrun in the near future, which would highly recommend, you found it useful. If you have, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see our further parkrun journeys this year and beyond, then please subscribe to the channel. So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.